Hey, superstars. Hey, family. It's your girl, Miss Super Trucker, and I'm coming to you today. I did make it back from Washington, D.C. So we're waiting until a couple of you all get in here, and we're going to go over the new ruling in California. If you live there and you already have a lease purchase or whatever the case may be, how this is going to affect you in the future. So the next, hey, how is that? The next video I'm going to do for you all is going to be about my trip to Washington, D.C., who all we met with, what the FMCSA said, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk to you about that then at another time. But I wanted to come and talk to you about what is coming down the pipeline as far as lease purchase drivers in California, okay? And it's going to spread to other states if you're on a 1099 contract. So let me just read this to you. Effective January the 1st, 2020, California Assembly Bill AB 5 codifies the strict dynamics ABC test for independent contractors. AB 5 expands the reach of the ABC test to all wage and hour labor code violations, as well as unemployment insurance and workers' compensation. The numerous exemptions from the ABC test, and each exemption has its own set of complex requirements. So, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill AB 5 into law on September the 18th, 2019, codifying the strict ABC test for employee versus independent contractor classification adopted by the California Supreme Court in 2018. Okay, basically what this AB 5 expands to reach the ABC's test with the labor code violations is basically saying, it's saying that, let me go down. Tesla considers secondary factors the right to discharge at will, kind of occupation, the skill required. I'm going to go on down to where it affects the lease drivers. Okay, give me 1 second. Now, this is how it affects lease drivers. If you are a contractor, you got to be able to pass 3 tests. It's called the ABC test, okay? And everybody, all contractors, unless you are a true owner operator, you're not going to be able to pass the ABC test. Now, the first part of the ABC test is A, that the worker is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work, both under contract for the performance of the work and in fact, okay? B, this is the one that lease purchase, if you're leasing a truck through a company, you won't be able to pass this test. B says that the worker performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business. So if a truck is, if a company is leasing you a truck through the company, that worker must perform work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity business. So no lease contract will qualify for that, okay? C, that the worker is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business of the same nature as the work is performed. Okay, so this is where that's coming from. So if you want to look this up, you can. All you got to do is go to hklaw.com. If there are currently companies out there right now that have drivers who lease purchase in California, they are giving them notice, letting them know that either they will be turning into an employee as of January the 1st, 2020, or they're going to have to change their license. So if you want to stay a independent contractor and you live in California through the lease purchase deals that these mega carriers have, then you will have to move to another state, either Utah, either Nevada, whatever the case may be. You cannot have a California driver's license and lease a truck. We are not doing, as a recruiter, no more leases in California. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is this is going to spread state to state to state. Okay. Until they make some changes in the lease program, this is going to spread state to state. We have been telling you since the beginning of time that you are truly not an independent contractor if you are on a 1099 miscellaneous through your lease company. You are not independent because they tell you where to go, even though, or if you don't take the loads that they tell you to take or give to take, then you suffer in another way while they will sit you for the weekend or whatever the case may be. You cannot take that truck anywhere you want to. Okay. So even though you're leasing it, you can't take the truck anywhere you want to. Some of you all cannot even fuel where you want to fuel at. Okay, so there's a lot of, these are the things that's been going on behind the scenes as far as misclassified workers, okay, misclassified 1099 workers in the trucking industry. So with this ruling that California came out with, it affects the trucking industry, and there will be no more leases, 1099 leases. If you want to be a independent contractor, you are going to have to get your truck from an outside carrier instead of within the company. Okay, so for example, you got to get a truck from Lone Mountain and then lease it on to the carrier. You can't get a truck directly with the carrier and consider yourself an independent contractor. Now they are going to have some exemptions, which is going to be based on a case by case basis. Now the next thing is, the question was asked, what were they going to be? Would it be retroactive? Like, can you go after people that already are in leases or in these agreements? So it's not clear on that. But what about with Snyder? It's going, if it's a lease deal, it's going to affect all the companies. You should have got a notice. I know Prime has already sent out notices to their independent contractors to let them know that if they do have a California license, they are going to either become an employee or they're going to either move their residence to another state. Okay, some people are choosing to move their residence to another state. Okay, I do know a personal friend that has been affected by this, which is DSOBA. Everybody know who DSOBA is, and she's an independent contractor out there in California. Now she has to move, so right now she's trying to think about what state she's going to have to move her residency to, because if she continues to stay with Prime into her lease deal, she cannot have a California license. So my concern is, if you are from California and you have a California license and you've been in a lease for 3 years or 4 years and you may only have 1 more year on your lease, where's all that money going to go to? Most of the people, they're going to have to force to change their residency if they want to be able to continue with their lease. If you're just now starting a lease and you haven't invested, I guess, a lot of money into the lease, and living in California is very important to you, then I guess you would just turn your truck back in and become a company driver. So just wanted to let you know that is coming down the pipeline. Yes, they did it at Prime. Okay, Sam's is saying yes, they did it at Prime. So what about Snyder? Snyder, if Snyder, it doesn't affect the company if you don't live in California. Okay, so only even if the company is out of California, they will not be doing any leases. Like KLM has a company, has Fontana location. Okay, if you live in California, you're not going to be able to lease a truck out of California. Okay, point blank, period. They're not even doing that. Whether or not to deal with the lawsuits and things that will come from this, they are being very proactive and just telling all you lease drivers, if you live in California, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to either leave California and get you a Nevada license, a Utah license, whatever the case may be, or you are going to become an employee. So I want you to keep in mind that if you are currently leasing right now, this is going to maybe carry to other states, because we have been talking about this for the longest, how people are being misclassified in the trucking industry with these lease programs. If you do not go out and purchase your truck to be a true owner operator, you have to be able to, one, it's your truck. You have to be totally independent of that company. And they can't tell you where to fuel. They can't tell you buy your own tags. You know, there's a whole lot of things that go with the line of owner operators. So that's why with all these leases, people are saying we're no more than, company drivers with payments. Okay, so the law of the labor laws are really going to come down on it. Okay, they are losing cases back to back about being misclassified. You all remember the case with Dominique case with the prime thing that's going on. So a lot of people, a lot of companies are starting to take and be proactive. So the best way to be truly an owner operator is to not probably get your truck doing a lease. Hopefully it will take some time for it to spread over, but there's going to be a lot of, it doesn't affect Snyder. I don't think Snyder is financial. Snyder, but if Snyder trucks are lease trucks, the walkaway lease and things like that, that's different. If Snyder trucks are finance trucks where they have a separate entity, okay, Snyder has separate entities. So they have a finance division, they have a trucking division, they have a logistics division, they have different entities. So, but it still may fall under them, because in order to be an independent contractor, they cannot tell you where to fuel. They cannot tell you where to go. You got to be totally independent, such as being on the low board. Like if you get your truck, you got your insurance, you got whatever the case may be, you can pick your own loads. You determine how fast your truck is not governed. You do basically what you want to do. With a lot of the companies, you don't have that choice. Like some of the companies, you don't even have a choice of your maintenance money, the money that's taken out your check to be put towards maintenance. You don't have control over it. You can't just go and withdraw that money whenever you get ready and go fix whatever. What if you want to take that money and go do something else with it? You can't do that. They control that. So when you're being controlled like that, you are going to be challenged to say that you are a employee instead of an independent contractor, because an independent contractor means exactly what it says. It's that you're totally independent of the truck, independent of the, where you go, where you fuel, whatever the case may be. And so many companies, especially mega companies, have used this term independent contractors to push all of that cost upon you. And we're thinking that, we're winning in a way because we get a truck. At the end of the day, a lot of us don't are not able to complete those leases, and we don't end up with a truck at the end of the day. So it's being you're being it, you, I'm being taken advantage of because you don't have to put no money down. You can get in these trucks. You still not making too much more than a company driver, and then you're hoping after a certain period of time that you can have a truck that's paid off and you can go on about your merry way. The only thing about that is I would say 80 to 90% of people who enter into these lease agreements or these lease deals do not end up owning their truck. That's the biggest thing about it. You don't end up. You have that dream of owning your truck, and a lot of people don't end up owning that truck at the end of the day. Are doing the back ahead trying to protect themselves from lawsuits. Yeah, and the labor department is coming after them as far as money, everything, y'all. When you get to a lot, let me tell y'all, when I went up to Washington, D.C. and was speaking to these representatives and these Congress people and the FMCSA and all this kind of stuff, people start to listen to you when you're talking about money. Okay, when you're talking about the money that is being given to companies and that's a whole nother video, but the approach that we went into the meeting with, or we went to talk about, was you're getting government subsidies, you're getting money from the government, the state is paying money for all these students and people to go through trucking school, and there's no accountability for how they're treated when they get into the school. There's no accountability of what your money is going to. And when you start talking about the government's money and the taxpayers' money and things like that, oh yeah, people start paying attention, and they want to have some checks and balances in place to make sure that the money that they're giving to these mega carriers are being used effectively. Why do we have a trucker shortage in trucking? Why is that? They're hiring 50, 60, 80 people a week at each school. Okay, so if you're doing all this hiring at all these mega carriers, at all these schools every week, why is there still a trucker shortage? Obviously, you're getting these people to come into this industry and you're not retaining them. They're not staying. Why are they not staying? You don't already receive the money for them for coming into school, and then they're gone. Okay, but nobody checks on their dollar. Nobody checks that Sally had started trucking school, and we gave $10,000 for Sally to go to school, and Sally didn't even make it through training. Sally back at the house with no CDL, but they done already paid the money for you to go to school. Why are these people being charged all this amount of money for tuition and things like that? And a lot of them either got a CDL that they can't use because they've been blocked as far as getting any other employment, because you can't hire them if they're under a contract. So we're gonna follow the money. We want to know if they're double dipping. Is it double dipping? Are you dipping from the students, charging them with these high interest rate loans, or are you and getting the money from the government too? So what's really going on? Why are we not retaining these drivers? And the biggest thing that we went up there for is for the workforce balance. That's the reason we went. Okay, they're trying to make it so that women train women and men train men. That is going to be the biggest mistake that you could ever do. We're trying to have professionals in the industry, and it doesn't matter who it is. And actually, it's against the law. So if you're at a company that has a policy on women training women, that's a lawsuit. It's point blank, period. Okay, it's unlawful. Okay, but people get away with it because they don't say anything, they don't sue. And some of us women say, oh, I would rather go out with a female instead of a male. That's not the case. You should be able to go out with anybody that is professional, because the violence don't just happen with men and women. The violence happens with women and women. The violence happens with men and men. The the trainer what is the trainer from Warner? Remember him? Got stabbed to death by his student. So it's not just on the women; it's on the men too. It's same-sex violence, and it's men and women violated. So we want to change the workplace environment to make it a professional environment. And we went to see representatives that passed bills on sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, workforce violence against employees, co-workers. Okay, we was joined up there by coworker.org, with also with Times Up. These are big organizations. So when you mention these organizations to these people up there, they take notice. Okay, they take notice, and a lot of it had to do with being unaware, because every last meeting that we went to, they had to do some more research because they didn't even realize all this was going on, you know. So the more they start digging, and we go into the representatives that these schools have. Okay, so if the school is in Georgia, we're going to the representative in Georgia and let you know, hey, look, this is what's going on in our industry. This is where your dollars are going to. There are always, everybody know about the trucker shortage. Every meeting that we went to, they'll say, oh yeah, it's a trucker shortage. Why? Did anybody question? There was 2 articles out there. One of them said there was an 18% increase in women drivers in the last 10 years. And a few months later, it said it was 68% increase. Where are these numbers coming from? Who telling these people about these numbers? How you go from 18 to 68 in a couple of months? That's crazy. And all the incidents that are happening out here in the training fleet, all the incidents that are happening out here in the training fleet are, a lot of them are not reported. And that's another thing that we got to stop doing. We got to stop just brushing it under the rug and just hoping it goes away and not reporting it. We got to report it. And if nobody wants to do anything about your report, then we're going to have an outlet for you to voice your opinion and what happened to you. And we're going to track it. And we're going to provide that data since nobody else can. Okay. When the guy at CR England got arrested for a rape, okay, was there a record of how many students he trained? Was there a record of, did this happen to anybody else? This man is in jail now. So there's a lot that's going on, and that's one reason why I'm looking to get out of the industry, because I can only do so much behind the wheel. This takes meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and being on focus groups and talking about this and talking about that, but it's worth it, you know. If y'all not familiar with the Jason Law, how did that get started? With a truck driver, with a truck driver's wife. That's how that Jason Law came into place. Everybody turned her down. Everybody told her no. Everybody thought that, you know, she was just blowing smoke and, you know, this wasn't a need and all that kind of stuff. All it took was one person to listen to her and make a bill. And that's how you got the Jason Law. If you're not familiar with Jason Law, I would advise you to look that law up, because it does affect truck drivers. Another thing is trucking against trafficking. Okay, truckers against trafficking. You mean to tell me in this industry, that in this industry, we have to be aware of truckers against trafficking? In the state, there's a couple of states that mandate you to take a training before you can even get your CDL to learn about truckers against trafficking. But we have no law, no mandate, nothing that you have to do about workplace violence, how to report, what you should do. And then a lot of the answers was, won't they call the police? Have y'all been out here on the road in an 18-wheeler truck? Some of y'all on back roads. Have you ever been in Wyoming through a snowstorm and something happened to you? And they say call the police? What about keeping the person safe? How about that? But it's a lot I want to talk to you all about, and my experience about being up there. I didn't want, the only thing that I was coming to you today is about the lease in California. And that if you are in California, you do have a CDL, you will no longer be able to lease a truck. Okay, especially from a mega company. And it's going to probably trickle on to other states as well. But right now in California, you may have already been told that if you are a lease driver, I guess, I don't know, CR England, CRST, I don't know who else is out of California, have drivers in California, that you will no longer be able to lease a truck. You're either going to have to change your state of residence, or you're going to have to become an employee. So that's what I was coming to you to bring you. And other than that, that's it. But when I come back to you, we're going to do an open letter. How about that? Because the FMCSA is saying that they don't get a lot of our comments. They did put a post on their website looking for comments from drivers and things like that. And guess how many they got? They got 3. Number one, the reason why they didn't get a lot of comments about it is because it took me forever to try to even find where the comment was, where you were supposed to go to comment. Okay. So a lot of drivers, it's not easy access. So maybe we have to address it a different way and make it more user friendly. So when people are having these incidents, accidents, or whatever the case may be, they can be able to access and give you their thoughts and their comments very easily. What else? Let's see. Yeah, sweatshop on wheels. So we got a couple of ways that we could handle this. We got a couple of ways that we could go about it. We're gonna either track the money. People like to talk about money. When you talk about using their money, this ice to y'all. But when you're talking about using their money, and especially using the government's money, and there's no accountability to it, you get their attention. I'm a member. We went to Desiree Senator's office out of Florida, a representative office out of Florida. We went to Iowa's. We went to was it Wisconsin? Wisconsin. A lot. We could have been doing that for days, y'all. I was so emotionally drained from the time that we got there all the way to the time that we left, because it was meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and it was so amazing to see how the FMCSA welcomed us when we got in there. It was a panel of 13 people, attorneys, all kinds of people that they was there in the office. And basically it was like to encourage us to keep going, but they want to be able to find a way to untie their hands, because there's only so much that they can do. So we're going to do things like we're going to go and ask them to be accountable for the money that they're sending these the people to school, and they're not retaining them. Why is that? Is the treatment so bad that they don't even want to stay? They would rather leave and pay the tuition and not even stay at a place because of the treatment being there. Then there's an issue. There's a problem. Another thing is, why aren't they being retained? What's going on that you can't keep these people? Why? Inexperienced training, inexperienced drivers. Okay, people that don't even have a year experience training each other. Another thing is, how are we going to address it? We can address the money. We to make them accountable for the money. We can talk to the representative to change laws to make it happen. You can also go to the Department of Labor. We're also going to do a Facebook Live with the EEOC. We're also going to do a Department of Labor. They will have the Department of Justice. OSHA may have a bit of something that we can do. They have something that's called coercion or something like that. Y'all, you know, when I come in front of you all and I use a lot of and this and that and all that kind of stuff. But it was amazing how when I got in front of these people to talk to them, none of that came out of my mouth. I was so focused and I was so driven, and I just took my time to speak, and it just flowed out. You should have saw their mouths drop. Okay. You should have saw their mouths like, I can't believe all this is going on in the industry. and it's that we don't have any information about it. But you got a lot of people that's looking into it. If you don't have any money, people not. No, that's not true, because a lot of representatives and a lot of Congress people, they like to hear about regular people. They like to hear about truckers. They don't want to hear about all these organizations, because if your organization is receiving money from the people that you have a problem with, it's usually not going to be a case of them trying to correct themselves. Okay, if you're receiving a lot of money from a company that has these biggest issues, you're not going. What you going? You getting good money for them, So you're not going to come out and say this. So it's a good thing that we don't have a lot of money. It's a good thing you're not sponsored by all these corporate people. It's a good thing because you can actually speak from reality and what's happening and truly trying to make a change, instead of coming from a place where you have all this backing of money and all that kind of stuff. That's absolutely not true. You don't have to have a lot of money to make change in this industry. That's not true. Look at the lady, the wife of the driver that made the law into effect, called the Jesus law. Okay, she didn't have a lot of money. Actually, she was turned down by several different organizations who did have money and had the opportunity to make a change in the industry, but chose not to. So she had to go to her representatives to help her make that change, and it happened for her. So you don't have to have a lot of money. Well, yeah, we also got a comment on the page too. A lady was saying that she had to pay $13,000 for tuition, and I'm like, how do you get to pay $13,000 for tuition? Because tuition is about $6,000 average. How did it get to be $13,000? Is it that much interest on the tuition? So let me get this straight. So you got somebody that don't even have a job, is on employment, come from maybe food stamps or the lower income. You're going to put them in the industry and then tack on some more debt to them, and then put it on a credit report and then add interest rate on that? How do they do that? So that's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out, how are these people owing $13,000? And we also need to give you a statement to say, if they are calling you, harassing you about this money, you need to have a statement in place to get them off your back. Okay? You have to have a statement in place. We got to find out, why are these people being having this debt. You got a senator. Who did we go to? Senator Warren. She's the one just forgave student loan. So we're going to try to get her maybe to forgive the debt of the truckers that didn't get a CDL, or got a CDL, didn't get the training, or whatever the case may be. Because if she can forgive all the debt in the and these other places, as far as student loans and all this kind of stuff, we need some debt forgiveness for these truck drivers. So, but truck driving is a different realm than regular corporate America, and a lot of people don't understand it. So another thing, you do have a senator that is getting ready to introduce a bill, a focus group, or whatever the case may be, to talk about different things in the trucking industry. But we want to make sure that the truck drivers are going to be a part of the group. Y'all don't want the people that are being paid enormous amount of money on paper to just make it look good and make it look like you did something about the problem, and you didn't do anything about the problem. So if you're talking about having an owner-operator on there, have a true owner-operator on there. If you're talking about having a truck driver on there, have a truck driver on there. Have people that are actually in the industry doing this type of work to be on these focus groups to make change. It's very hard to make a change when everybody is just with the money thing. With the money thing. Oh, I'm not gonna say nothing bad about you because you give me $500,000 a year. Why would I say something bad about you? You know, so you got to have people that is totally independent and truly care about the outcome of the training fleet. And that's where our focus is. There's a lot of other things that we can focus on as well. You know, they want to do a focus thing about violence in the truck stops or violence wherever the case may be. But our goal is very detailed. When we're talking about workplace violence, we're talking about it in the training fleets. We're talking about it in the training fleets. There's a lot of great trainers out there. There's a lot of great drivers out there that could potentially be trainers, but don't want to do that because of there's so much workplace violence in that particular situation. So we got to put these policies and procedures in place. And that's the goal. That's the mission. But other than that, y'all, I just wanted to come to you a few minutes just to talk to you for a minute and just kind of share a little bit about what happened with me. I want to have a full open discussion. We're going to do a Zoom where we're going to have the EEOC on, and she's going to talk to you about your rights and how to report and what the EEOC does. So we're going to make sure that we share that out on all the platforms. But I do want to let you know that when you're trying to make a change in this trucking industry, you can't wait on everybody else to try to help you do that. You got to do it on start the change yourself. It's changes starts with you. Changes starts with me. So, you know, if it's very important to you, and a lot of you may say that, okay, this doesn't affect me because number one, I'm an owner operator. I don't deal with students, trainers, nothing like that. But I was not in a truck with a trainer that abused me in any kind of way. That doesn't make it that I don't want to get involved because I know people that are. I know people that are in those situations. Just like Desiree said, I don't have cancer, but I give to the breast cancer. You know, I give to people who do have cancer to support them. You don't necessarily have to be directly affected. But if you know somebody is being affected by this and you know how we do need to make a change. And all of you have said, mostly when you go to the reviews or even here on YouTube, how your experience has been good, bad, or indifferent. So if you want to be able to make a change in that so that we're not doing this for the future of people, because we want people to get in the industry. We want them to think trucking is a great career. This is a second chance for some people, you know. And then I brought up the issue that you want to maybe start looking at changing the age limit from 21 to 18. So do you want to put your 18-year-old teenager that just got out of high school in a situation with predators and all this kind of stuff? You have to put policies, procedures, and rules and laws in place to protect your young. It's that simple. And it seems like it could be an easy fix. It seems like all we have to do is educate and all that kind of stuff. But they make you go through so many channels to even just make a small change in this industry. But if you can do it with Truckers Against Trafficking, and these are people that are not even in our industry, but you want drivers to look out for women that may have been kidnapped or whatever the case may be, or held in a situation against their will, and we don't have any training to look out for student trainer relationships or workplace violence in our own industry. That makes no sense. So other than that, that's it, y'all. So it's been a lot. I gotta digest it. I'm very upset. I was in tears last night, y'all. I came home. I had left Ripley with rover.com, and I thought I picked out a wonderful sitter. I don't ever have any problems with Ripley. going to the sitter and where he stays. And, I like for him to interact with other dogs, other small dogs. And this lady had like a child and everything. And y'all, when I came back to pick up Ripley last night, he was infested with fleas. That's why I'm in a hotel right now, because and he's at PetSmart right now. I'm taking him to the vet. I'm doing all kinds of stuff to make sure that we don't get back on the truck with any fleas or anything. I managed to keep Ripley out here on the road with me without any problems, any incidents, or anything like that. And when I picked him up last night and put him in a car, y'all, he was just like traumatized. He was like, his skin is just red and irritated all over. I stopped by the store last night and that's PetSmart. Hold on. Hello?
Hi, this is Casey from PetSmart.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I was trying to let you know that Ripley's all ready to go for you.
Okay. Was he able to get rid of all the fleas and everything that was on him?
Yeah. Like I only saw like maybe like 3 or 4, so he wasn't like any more like super infested. However, I did put that flea preventative on him, so he'll have like a spot going down his back where the flea preventative is, so he'll look wet, but it's just the flea preventative. And then his skin looks a lot better too from when you first dropped off. Like it's still kind of red and angry looking, but not as bad as like when he first got here. So that oatmeal, I think, did help him a lot. So yeah, he's all ready to go, and he's just sleeping in the kennel. So
now I bought these pills. Do I need to give him one of them pills too, or no?
No, I would wait on that since he has a flea preventative on that. Giving him the pills would overdose him, and you're risking like him having seizures and stuff like that. So I would say definitely wait that 30 days. But if he does end up like say he gets fleas again or something like that, doing a flea shampoo would be fine after 2 weeks.
Will it be safe? Because I drive trucks, so will it be safe for me to put him on a truck with me? Is he okay? Because I don't want it to spread through the truck.
Yeah. Like all the fleas on them, if you see any, they're gonna be dead. But I blow dried them and stuff, so if there were any dead ones, they should blow dried off. But yeah, it's like there's not. I haven't seen any like ones on them since I've given him a bath. So yeah, you should be good on that and everything. The preventative is so then like wherever he was, so like
I threw everything away. Yeah, I threw everything away, and I haven't put him in the truck yet.
Cool. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you should be fine because like flea eggs they don't stick to the dog; they fall right off. So even just walking down the street, the eggs can fall off and everything. So yeah, if you haven't put them in the truck yet or anything, then you should be good.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm on my way to come get them.
If you end up seeing fleas, there's always like flea spray you can put on the bedding, and then after 2 weeks, you can do a flea shampoo if you still have fleas, but you should be good.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm on my way to come get them.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you.
Bye-bye. I'm sorry, y'all. I picked up Ripley last night, and he was infested. So I went and got him some flea shampoo and oatmeal. And when I poured the flea shampoo on him, it was just all in the top of his head, all down his body. It was just, I've never seen anything like that before. And I just warm water and I let it sit on them, and you could see all of it coming off of them. And I did it twice, and it was just like I felt so bad because I felt like I was like traumatizing him from all the stuff that he had to go through. But hopefully, I mean, he's going to be okay. So we're going to stay in a hotel today and tomorrow to make sure everything is gone. And then I threw his bed away, all his clothes, everything. I'll just go rebuy that, and we'll be back on the truck on Monday. So other than that, y'all, I know that was a lot. I just came and talked to y'all about the lease program in California. I still want to continue the conversation about the Washington trip, and yeah. So other than that, I got to go. I got to go get Ripley, and I will talk to you all later. Peace, love, joy, and happiness. Y'all have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye. I'll read your comments later when they come through my thing. So I'll talk to y'all later. So if you need me, you can call me. I'm back in St. Louis, 1-800-620-9235. Thank you for all the comments that you sent on my page as far as I heard about the Dawn liquid soap. Y'all told me about that. Y'all told me about CBD. Oh, I had a question about that. I don't know about that. Can you have that stuff on the truck? Somebody told me to get some CBD treatment or something for Ripley so he wouldn't be itching or stuff like that. But I don't know if you can have that kind of stuff on the truck. So that's my concern with that. But I did pick up some spray, some aloe vera stuff, and some oatmeal spray or whatever I could put on him so that he doesn't scratch or whatever the case may be. And we'll get back to work on Monday. But I'm not sure. I read all your comments. Thank you so much for your prayers for Ripley last night, but that honestly like broke my heart because Ripley is like the most important thing to me, and I don't want anything that like happened to him at all. And when you trust your dog in the care of somebody else, you expect them to protect him and not have him going through all of this. So it's just like it makes me mad that you can't even take care of a dog, you know? But other than that, y'all, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace, love, joy, happiness. Y'all have a wonderful and blessed day. I gotta go get Ripley. Bye.